Check, check. Okay, we're on. Alright, I'm going to be starting a new song here. I'd like to give credit since I didn't go through the proper channels, so I'm just going to hope that I don't get stricken for this, but hopefully I get to use this, and this is a really sublime song. So, anyway, reference track comes from the second track called Heart's Cry from the Memento album, which I believe is the second album from Il Criminist. At least that was his producer tag at the time. If you love his music, go show him some love and support at ilcriminist.net, which is this website. And there is a way to translate it, so. It seems he edited his site. Boom. This one, right here. This song is just, I mean, the whole darn album. This one is definitely my favorite, but yeah, no, this one we're gonna listen to repeatedly because there's a certain emotion that I want to capture, and this definitely has it. So we're gonna study this reference track, and as we study it, I'll call out what I'm listening to, because what I've learned about music is we as a producer must consume external creativity, or else we end up like a bed bug just eating our own poop over and again and refining it and refining it and refining it. And so this guy is extremely talented. And so we're going to go learn from our senpai and see if we can take inspiration, but not copy, but take inspiration on that general idea of things. Okay. Seriously, Calvi. Love you. I put some scripture here. The main thing is, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus. Hold firmly to what is good. I listened to the song once just to get the fanboyism out. And as I listened to it once, I was swept away with just there's so much going on here. You have to like isolate it individual channels and just focus on a single point all the way through. But I knew that this first time going through that I wouldn't be focused, and it would be just pure, simple enjoyment. As I listened to it, the bass line had some really fun parts, so we're going to see if we can listen for those. Then I also noticed that the guitar was on the left, and it had a certain role, and the guitar on the right had a certain role. But they also had the full equalizer range. They had the bass wasn't neutered. But I also noticed that there was a split channel between the lead that seemed to be between the two of them. The drums were I love them. I'll have to come back for that later. My brain kind of overloaded after the guitars. The vocals were haunting and enchanting, and it was extremely difficult not to focus on the vocals. So since it's impossible to not focus on the vocals, the first time we go through this, I'm going to strictly focus on the vocals and run that parallel process just like driving. During the vocals, I also noticed there was harmonies, and I'm really digging that. It's like you keep the melody, but you drop the fifth. And then I'm going to write my own lyrics, and then after we're done with it, we're going to create a new template, which is going to involve saving a new version, and then on that new version, we delete everything, and we reset the dials to 0. And then we go from there. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I need these to be clean, and besides I calibrate them each song anyway, so. So, since I learned a new trick, so I noticed in Calvi's track, if I may be so casual, that he didn't have a sub bass. And so I thought about it, okay? If I have this sub bass eating up potential energy, if I cut the sub, I can divert the rest of the bass to the bass, and some of it to the deep rhythm guitars and the low notes on those, because that's where the chug-a-chug comes. And then I need to make a third guitar to cover those screaming solos, so to say. Which means I can now implement that in this piano here is maybe my own flavor. Definitely my own flavor. And I think also, from what I know about Vocaloid tuning from Don, is that Screamo can sound pretty cool. So the idea is kind of like Master Chief, where he didn't come this far only to come this far. And so you just keep going. You keep going because you're just not going to stop. You got nothing else to fight for. I mean, what are you going to do? Lay over and die? Screw it. I only came this far. I'm going to keep going. It's a fight song. It's a hopeful fight song with a bit of melancholy and a bit of a soul-twisting knife from previous shortcomings. I really like the Gumi voice and the Luca voice. So what I'm going to do is try to make Miku sound her age, because she's like, what, 37 now? So we're going to crank this up a bit, just a touch. And we'll go ahead and save that. Wait a minute, that's not the right age. That's the right age. We'll just minimize that. We're not going to use that today. We're not even come close to using that today, so I'll just save some power. I'm on solar. Alright, so here goes nothing. Hope this video doesn't get taken down. God have mercy. Oh, also, you might want to turn down your speakers. I like it when the song transitions into the next song. smoking a vape right now, and I think I'm gonna use like nicotine lozenges or something unless I need a sound break. It's good to take a sound break every now and then, let the ears recalibrate. It's like a palate cleanser, like having a glass of water. The silence is just a feature, not a bug. I think someone's mowing their lawn right now. Sounds like a golf course, like GTA or something. Alright, let's do this again and be a little more analytical. It was... which one was it? This one. Which is also known as F5. Okay. F5. F11. F12. F12? No. No undo for F12. Okay. F5. Spacebar. My beats per minute are too slow to his beats per minute. I need to increase them. Hold down Alt. This spike, that spike, with minor variations. This spike, that spike, minor variations, but that's what it means to be human. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy were playing these instruments, but it's also possible the other way. Alright, so now we know the tempo, which means now that we know the tempo, we can see the spikes and we can compare them against our total beats and kind of get an idea of the song structure this round. But since I got focused on the melodies, I'm also going to keep an ear on how the lead thing goes. Sort of. Alright, here we go. Speakers. mic on? Mic. Yeah, I did. Okay. There's a lot to unpack. I learned a trick. Let's listen to the bass. I'm gonna turn my mic off this time too. Okay. There was a certain note. See if I can find it. Okay, so that's the reference. Let's see, he started on the 2, and then the other 2, and he finishes on the 2. Okay. So it's definitely a 4, 8, 8, 16. It's definitely a 16 note group. So what happens here? Okay, so the verse changes. That's really, really cool. so we're going to focus on the guitars now. What else did I need to learn from the bass? Just a theory. We'll figure it out as we go, as long as I can capture the main genre of this. Okay, so the guitars are going to be intense. It's going to be really hard to isolate left and right ears with the center guitar kind of unifying the two. So, since the three guitars are, if there is three guitars, there has to be. Either that or some insane loop tracks or something. Makes sense. I've seen it done with pedals and stuff. Okay, so if he did it with pedals, this would have been insane. No wonder he's with a record label. Alright. Since I need to focus on three things at once, and my mind tends to laser point, I need to blur my mind a little bit. So I'm going to do what I need to do that, and anyway. I guess I'll smoke a cigarette first. The cigarette sharpens the mind at a cost. You know what, though? I think I reached out to Karen once to see if I could be signed or anything like that, but they never got back to me, so I think that was for the best. That is also something else that I'll give thanks for, because now it means I'm unsigned and I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it, at whatever pace I want to do it. And at the same time, no matter what I do in life, even if I think I'm about to drive off a cliff, I can just think about the people who would miss me and get back to work. I might not get paid in cash, but I get paid in other ways. God does provide. Alright, that's enough of a cigarette. I'll save the rest of that for later. And it's cold, so I can put it back in the back. And now my mouth smells like ash. That's why I'm not a vocalist. Unless I'm working on my fry scream. I'm not really good at it, but I have tried a couple times. It makes some weird noises. But that's kind of how it is. You kind of got to be a fool a little bit. You got to be ready to be on stage, looked at. Alright, now let's go a little off stage. I try to keep this educational broadcast PG-13, but I ain't gonna lie. I just might not tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because what is the truth? That's a damn good question. Okay, my mind is now officially blurred. I've tapped into the source. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with you. Okay, now let's Christian metal this. Remember, try to focus on your left ear or your right ear or your center ear. Try to focus on what catches your attention and what holds your attention, and also what's going on in the background that supports that. Because the bass is smooth and stringless. It's not gruff and rugged, so you can tell the difference between the bass and the low end of the rhythm guitar. Then there's the intricate individual notes, and those are difficult to do with a rhythm guitar and not a melody guitar. So I think I need 2 rhythm guitars and 1 melody guitar. And by doing 2 rhythm guitars, I can then... This is a paid plugin and worth every cent. I'm on the air. Life happens. Okay. So in this plugin, this is the initial state. There's multi-tracking, which adds awesome things. Check out Jake Lizio for why that's important. I'm not going to go into details right now. And then there's certain presets, and you can sample them from the previous menu, which I didn't. So sampling them from this state's a little more difficult. But from what I know, this Holdsworthian is awesome, and I get the reference. The Lion song is also pretty awesome, and the Killer Mutes is pretty awesome. The other ones are pretty much to your taste. Some of this stuff sounds like Green Day or Breaking Benjamin and stuff like that. It really comes down to the amp. And Ready to Gent, that was pretty fun. But I think I might have to try that actually. I might have to try this one for that little I'll see if I have the current capabilities to do that. Otherwise, I don't think I can mimic that sound. So that's probably why I think that he's actually playing the guitar for this, because this is this is advanced software here. From here, we've got different things, and you can see in this software it tells you what the key code is. So if I hit C1, it'll go into sustain notes, and if I hit C#1 and then lower the velocity, I have several different layers of palm mutes. And then if I want to get a little more synthy, we can start tapping. Tremolos and automation, it just kind of helps you out, but you can do that manually. And power chords, I don't like the automation, but it's easy mode if you don't want to program a power chord. If you do want to program a power chord, here's how you do it. right, we're doing the weird thing. C, boop. Alright, here's our chords. So this is the one note. It's our bass, it's our root. Let's get easier. Let's use our guides. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. Load. It's loading quietly in the background. The computer's actually quietly frozen, so I have to sit for a second because if I click anywhere, okay, it worked. I guess I did the number wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It truly is the 5th. So this was the 7th. Raise it up an octave. It's too low, so the bass theory is getting an issue. Then drop the high. Oh, that's tuned. That's a harmony scale. That's a chord. That's a thing. Okay, so what's just the power chord again? This one? This is why I do it on the computer. This will be fun to listen to. So if you program your mind into hearing this step, I extend them out, oops, Control Z, thank God for that. And now after Control Z, you could do C and click, 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 or if you don't have anything highlighted, you can go Control B, B, B. And then you can highlight every note, each note, and then you can adjust every note together. But see how you hear that and you crave it right there? Then you pull out the knife, hold down Shift so it snaps to the grid, and you slice it. Then you right click to cancel. If you don't right click, you can accidentally do something. If you right click, it will delete the shortest length, and it prefers one over the other, so I don't do that feature often. If you hold down Alt, you can slice. And if you hold Control Shift Alt, you can control the exact timing. But if you just hold down Shift, it keeps you nice and machine-like. Now that I've done that, I'm going to showcase the difference between a palm mute with low velocity and a palm mute with high velocity, because we know what max velocity does. And since there's two notes, we're going to put two of these and two of those. Just a little bit of happy trees right here. Just some happy notes down there. Alright. This is a nicotine vape. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone for now, because that's pretty sweet. We're going to save that. We're going to rename this as the cool thing is what you can do is you can like plan out the entire song, and then you can go over to here, clone it, and then clear the stuff you don't need, resize the stuff you need back to normal, plap it down. I like to add 1 bar as space to add a master volume automation, and to why are we here? Where did it go? Did I not plant it? Okay, so it sounds random for now, but we're gonna go polish it up. But the idea is just we're doing a single power chord. So that's our first power chord. Now we need a second chord. I'm going to set that here as a space marker, and a third, and a unique fourth. Well, at least a thing. Then maybe a moment. No, he doesn't do that. He does it inside the thing because he adheres to the schedule. So this one's going to be a type of chorus. And this one's going to be related to it. This one's going to be related to it. And this one's going to be different. These two, if I press Control G, are going to be one unified. And these two are also going to be unified, but I'm going to set that there. But if you do it, it'll do this. But I don't want to do that. So then what did he do? Alright, it's about time for those lead guitars, isn't it? Alright, what do I need to focus? Let's see, palette cleanser. Yeah, this is a really good reference track. But I don't think we should compare a track against it and try to totally mimic the sound, but if we get the spirit of the sound, we should be able to do just fine. We'll leave that in there. Okay, so we'll drop this down to this. This is going to be the master. Oops. And the program tends to make that a color. And we're going to put this. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and group that with above, so that if I shift one, they stay together. That's all I really need to do. Good to keep. If I let the program take care of the thought, then I can worry about the other stuff. Alright, I'm not actually ready to make the music. I need to set up a template. This isn't needed. I didn't hear the sub bass at all, and I have the right kind of headphones to hear it. You know, they're making headphones for $15 now that have a frequency response from 20 to 20k hertz. Let me try to see if I can understand what that means. Let's pick something that we can recognize. And we're going to go ahead and make it easy to read. And we're going to save the preset because I don't want to do that again. And now we'll double check it. Okay, now we'll check to make sure it works. We need something to listen to. What if I do this? And then I do this. No, yes, that worked. It's good enough. Alright, we don't need the delay and the reverb. Where is that piano? There it is. This is the wet channel. Alright, so that's a note. Now let's go back to that bass. Let's use the sine wave. And let's load that preset. This is totally unnecessary. This is pretty darn low. Alright, let's see how low it goes. honestly can't hear any of that. Or why should I? So I don't need it. And so this EQ stops at the sub, and the rest of that really is just rumble. You don't need it. And you know what that does? It affects this. So that really needs to not be there. This is the input, and this is the output. It's almost completely squelched, but it is registering. So yeah, no, the sub is utterly unnecessary. And what was that? What did the EQ say about that? That's about as far as I want to go. Alright. That's well within the range. And what does that say? Oh, where's this stupid magnifier? That's 20 hertz, and the headphones can go down that low, but my hearing probably is about done right about here. So my headphones are better than my own ears. And that you can buy headphones that go down to 20 and up to 20. So $15 headphones are good enough nowadays. Trust me. Stops at a specific band. You can expand that band or you can narrow it. Oh, you went over there. Okay. So we're going to put you over here. And we're going to really, just attack that signal. And then, after we've attacked that signal there, where'd it go? Here? Maybe we'll attack it again here, and maybe we'll attack it again here. And by the time it gets here, it should barely be even audible. But we'll attack it again. But it's just easier just to not use it. To a high pass. That is, that it allows anything higher than this point to pass through. Now I'm going to change it to a low pass. Notice what this is, and notice where the real sound's coming from. So what's all this? Let's find out. And look at that. Look at all this space we cleared up for everything else. Now let's make this a little more steep. Okay. This bass should be enough. How did that actually sound, though? If we separate the channel, we add a little chaos, which could create weird peaking at points that we don't need it to peak, and it's just, we don't need it. Sounds worse, right? Does it? That really is the difference between stereo and mono. It sounds more swollen, but that's just it by itself. We're going to have plenty of room of bass for, we have some of that, but let's put it on here. we have plenty of room for the melodies and maybe the screaming solos. And then I've got room for the vocals, the consonants, and the breathiness. This is a good preset. It's better than this one. But I'll leave it alone. I'll create a better second template. What, 1 kilobyte? Come on. Alright, whatever. Alright, that's about enough for that. I'm going insane. You think retail's bad? You know what I liked about my night stock job at Price Chopper? There was no music. So I wrote a song about spiritual torture. Of all the music in the world, we can really only listen to like 8 songs, like 5 or 10 times a frickin' day. Are you serious? That's what got me into metal in the first place. I was working night stock at Hy-Vee because I was severely burnt out. And it's kind of when I first came across Miku. I was really into Twin Tails at the time. I was really into anime, and I had so much fun annoying my coworkers about all the Future Diary and all the crazy anime that I liked. And then one day, I kept working that job until Christmas season came along. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad Christ was born. I just have plenty of reason to believe it wasn't on Christmas, not the conception or Hanukkah or things like that. That makes sense. I can believe that. But what I listen to on the radio while I'm night stalking, oh, it ain't about that. It's about that loot. So there was this game called Whamageddon. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. If you hear that song by Wham, you lose. I said, oh, fuck that shit. I can wear my headphones at this job because I don't have to deal with customers. I need to find some, like, metal shit right now. Seriously. So then I came across Yu-Yo Yuppie. And that kind of all started from there. And it led me to Il Criminese. Here's a little fun fact that I can show you the difference between where I'm at right now, based on everybody who helped me out, and where I was. This was the first album I ever made. And this is the first song I ever picked. With borrowed chords from a friend, and I improvised. So, sounds impressive, right? But the real trick behind it, because there's always a catch. Fruity Loops was introduced to me by a good friend in high school who taught me the chords, actually. In fact, the chords weren't even in that song. That song was entirely original. But it wasn't without influence. I grew up listening to the radio. I grew up loving music. I walked home from school creating songs in my head. And then I was introduced to a piano, and I was faced with the limitations that I had. I tried buying a guitar earlier, and I got pretty good. I mean, who doesn't know Smoke on the Water? But I was really interested in, like, 3 Days Grace. There was a certain song as our great intro. This is like, I love that. And I kept listening to the instrumentals and just soaking it in and just appreciating it. You know, that whole in everything give thanks kind of thing. I mean, it really does work. It really is the economy. So anyway, I came into it with a lot of musical influence. I was held back by financial situations. Like, I wasn't quite able to pick up an instrument, but the mind was there. And so when I came across Fruity Loop Studio, my friend introduced me to it, and I think it was like FL12 or something, maybe even 7 earlier. Let's check. Image line, where are you? Not in here. Not in here either. Okay, well maybe over here. I lost my previous files. They're on a hard drive somewhere, but I think... Hey, there it is. Right there. But, you know, can't really do much about the overlords, right? So... So... I wanted to do it honest. So I saved up enough and shed away the unlimited version and the blessed crack. Like, it was good. What Fruity Loops Studio gives you, honestly, is they first give you a free unlimited trial of what they have to offer. They give you everything they have to offer. They let you do whatever you want, but if you want to save it and export it, you've got to buy the stuff. And so I started with the lowest, cheapest stuff. And you'll notice in my music, this was with the unlimited stuff although this one was with the limited stuff. This one was when I started buying the more expanded packs of the producers, and when I had started buying VSTs. And I gotta tell you, I have the best. I have what I need. I don't need them all. I have what I need. And then I started learning Vocaloid, and I got really good and better at it. I think I have the cover art here. I mean, I didn't know if there was any royalty-free type cover art I could get, but I thought it was beautiful. You know, that there's always something more than us out there. As big as we think we are, I mean, just look at it. There's so much more out there. After playing No Man's Sky and Minecraft and all of these infinite worlds, like what's left there to imagine? I mean, out there it's just empty, isn't it? So far. And so I felt despair. I needed to take a break from the music, so I need to let this thought process run through, and then we'll collapse the folder and get back on the trail. It's a long digression, but I don't really want to fight it right now. Oh, this is a Paper Mario reference. This is something very important to me. And then the Cyber Pixie kind of grew. This one. This is the first thing she said to me. And then, as if by coincidence, suddenly my motivation exists. And I think, what's it like from her perspective? is on. Okay. Is it? Yes, it is. Okay. That reminds me of several things. Any music producer who understands PA Pro Studio might understand that every now and then it just doesn't sing the syllable. So I was like, well, that's cute. We're going to make a song out of that because that's adorable. And he was like, no, I don't want to sing it. Okay, fine. Be that way. But when we record the final, I'm seriously going to... Alright, so I started off with the limited free plugins, and there were presets. Just a bunch of presets. But I came across this really cool thing. So I'm going to go through the presets, and we're going to go things that generate sound, and we're going to go to Citrus, and we're going to look for Ballerina. So let's just go default, because Citrus has a lot of presets. Now let's bring this thing out. No, not that thing. This thing. This thing's needed. We're going to go here. And we're going to do that. I need a drink of water. It's good for ice cream practice, though. Okay. What in the heck is going on here? I have no freaking clue. Alright. Oh my god. Let's say we got ARP, whatever that means. Arpeggio. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. So let's try Cyber ARP. And hit a note. That's cool. This is included with the trial and with a certain plugin, but it is not included in the basic editions. Or wasn't. Okay. Bass, that's... okay, I know what that is. Bell, that's interesting. Let's check out Ballerina. To it, so that's pretty cool. And therefore that song existed. Alright, what else is there? Let's try FL Slayer. And let's try Dire Straits. That's cool. I have no idea what's going on here, so I'm just not going to deal with that. Cool. Free plugin. Awesome. We're started. We are off to the races. Well, let's actually tweak it a bit. Let's see what we got here. We got strings. We can play with that. What's this? No, wait. Let's leave that alone. Let's do dub delay. Didn't it do a thing when I did a thing? Okay, so it's a free plugin. Awesome. And it looks like there's other stuff to it. Cool. So that's still there. I just don't have the product file, so I can't edit the old ones and remaster them. But at least I can still like try. But the shreddage just... Well, that's biased. Let's turn off the convolver. And I need volume. Biased. Control A, press delete, hit escape. Okay, not that one. Alright. Sounds like Power Rangers. That's kind of what's got me started on metal. Power Rangers. But it's a little high. So what if we add this an octave down? So select it with, okay, press Control, select, Control C, you're already pressing down the key. Press Control down, you're already holding down the key. Press V, you're already holding down the key. Control B, you're already holding down the key. FPC, now this one's fun. This one is a gem. It's also in the free stuff. Do I even still have it out here? No, but FPC is very versatile. So let's do it a different way. Let's not look at the presets. Let's just go brute since we're picking the defaults. And we'll come back to that later. Okay, so I need plugins. The effects go on the mixer, and I didn't learn about the mixer for years. I had like released like 2 albums before I even realized the mixer existed. These are the ones that I bought. There's some weird glitches going on. I don't understand why, but there's not much I can do about it. This is another free plugin. Oh man. Oh man, you're in for a treat. If any of you Hans Zimmers out there. You have to put this plugin in multiple times to be able to operate the entire orchestra. And we've got violins and horns and harps, percussion, etc., 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 etc. But also various versions of playstyle. And it was free. BBC Symphony Orchestra. But they want you to register, so it does come at a cost of giving up your information. I think this was also free. Contact 7 itself was free, but the other stuff wasn't. And Julian was free, although this is more of a effect rather than a generator, so like something weird's going on here. And look, there it is again. But this is the VST. I don't know what the difference is between VST and VST3 is, but it doesn't really make much of a difference to me right now. There's our PR Pro, which leads us to this. And Voca Screamer is a nice one to get you started on Voca Screaming, but it's clunky. It has a lot of automation, but if you know what you're doing, you can do it yourself a little bit more precise. It's kind of like the difference between a microwave dinner and actually cooking a meal. But microwave dinners are perfectly fine. Alright, this one was fun. I had another one, but I lost it. But this one's a like an 8-bit generator. Charcesis. Now that one is absolutely mandatory and necessary. If you want to do any Voca Screaming, you're going to need Charcesis. That program needs to be like preserved. And it was free. I don't ever really use that folder. Okay, so let's limit it down to the stuff that you get from Fruity. 3XOC. That's our subwoofer. It allows you some modifications, but if you really want to make something cool, okay, so we take that, we kill the volume a bit because that's pretty harsh. And that's in the sub bass, so we're going to go knock that down a peg. That's tolerable. Alright, we're going to set that up. And then we're going to that's an issue. I don't like that part. Because if I do this, okay, what was I doing? EQ? Yes, we definitely want the EQ. And we want it to go back to its default state. The bass is pretty much consistent each time, so I'll fix it. Okay. EQ is ready. And then we want select, these are the effects, and we're going to choose the delay before the reverb. This one's pretty fun. I want it to keep the pitch. I want it to be nice and slow, I guess. And this like gets insane, so it's best to just leave it be. And this stuff you can do elsewhere, or you can do it right here. It's your personal choice. I like to do it over here because it helps keep the plugins balanced. If you need to balance the plugin against other plugins in the list, I guess that comes in handy. And I want the ping pong. The ping pong is going to go from one ear to one ear, one ear, one ear. Okay, so that's set up. Then we need the reverb. And here is the set of reverbs things. Okay, so each of these should do reverb. So this one's interesting. Boop. This is a trick I learned from, damn, what was that channel name? Come on, I know it. He's the guy with the face, the British guy. Anyway, he taught me about this little thing. Each of these are recorded rooms. But if you do this strange thing, this blur white noise, now you get some weird Isn't that like spine tingling? It's definitely some ASMR. So then, alright, so we've got that set up, and we like the sound. So since we like the sound, we're going to go ahead and put Edison in, which Edison is a unique, it's in its own little section. Edison. Now we got another thing to learn. Alright. It hears it. Okay, that's good. We're going to record on input. That's good. We'll do that. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, it's not picking up the mic. That's good. So any notes, all notes, they're all the same because it's totally just white noise. And now we have our sound. And I don't need all this. Right about here. I want about this much. Okay, it's highlighted. I might want the rest of the sample, so I'll leave it in the thing. So I'm going to need a second set of Edison. So I will send this to the track. And I'll bring up my preferred interface. And there it is. Doesn't go there though. That doesn't go there either. Why are we all the way over here? This is also another issue. But it's not horrible. If I scroll like this, we go up and down. That frustrates me. If I press shift, we scroll like this. Press control, we zoom in. Okay, that's my stuff. So I'm going to put it here. Go here, and we're on the arrangement 2. Now we can double click on it, and then we can right click, and then we can edit an audio editor. And now I've got this edition of Edison, which seems to be on the record channel. Okay, so I can keep them separate. It doesn't matter. But maybe it does. Oh well, it's white noise. Now what I'm going to do is go to the tools, boop, and scroll down to time, and we're going to reverse it. And now we got an intro to a song. You know what? I think I will send that to the playlist. It's actually pretty good. Alright, so we'll send it to the playlist. Cool. And we're going to stick it over here. Now we're going to sync it with the whatchamajigger. I need to zoom out of this. Yes, hold Alt, put it there. Zoom out. Select the knife, hold Shift, press Alt, and snip. Then right click, So instead of a single bar and being off by 3, 5 is really the start of the song. Unless we want to hear the reverb and play max out, which we can then make it happen. Not long enough. And it bleeds into the next. Alright, let's try that. It's completely faded by the end of the 4 bar. Okay. So now we know how to do the end. Is we'll cut the volume quickly and just kind of let it fade out. I'll leave this intact as it is so that I can know that it's exact spacing. Then the rest for the harshness is leveling it. So now we can do some fun things since that's automated. But what channel is it in? It's in 121. Well, we don't want it in 121. We want it in 13. Boop, boop. I'm going to click and hold and drag, and then use the mouse wheel. And it'll say which track it's in the sub bass. And that'll sound different. But it's going to have crazy amounts of reverb because now we've reverbed it once and we're going to reverb it again. No. In fact, all of this doesn't need to stay here, except for the Edison, which has a save file on it. But we have what we need, so we're going to go ahead and clear the cache. Defaults. I wonder if there's an easy way to do that. What if I hit Control Z? Yes, there is. Good. Okay. Now what if I cut this? Copy. A. Delete. V. Much, much simpler. That's cool. That's cool. The program was consistent enough that I did something I didn't know I could do, and it just worked. That's awesome. That's what I love about this program. I'll delete that. Actually, what is this? Yeah, we're going to need to keep that, actually. But we don't need to delete. Interesting. Very interesting. Alright, well, that's just how it goes. But I don't really need all that. Well, I definitely need the convolver on it. White and pink, there's subtle differences. That, just keep going with white. You can also shorten the signal or stretch the signal, and this is like barely any dry signal, and it's just pure wet reverb. That's all it is. It's just crazy amounts of reverb against white noise, which creates this rainfall, forest, water type effect. It's nice, calm, and mellow. It kind of makes you think, alright, we're in for a peaceful time, and then BAM! Metal! No, I mean, that's not fair. That's not nice. That's the wrong setup. Alright, so we need more than just that. I need a new pattern. Oh, okay. Are you familiar with the term attack, sustain, delay, release? ASDR. Attack is how long it takes to get to the full. Sustain is how long it stays at the full. Release, or delay, is how long after you release the note for it to whatever. But anyway, decay, that's what it was, decay. I don't know. Anyway, you know. Somebody else knows it better than me. But hear it. Hear it. So it's not instantaneous. It's somewhat of a swell. It's a really fast swell, but it's still... And then the convolver kind of really extends that drop. Instead of... There's an easy button for this. Boop. This is just the plugin, no effects. So, now that we know that that sounds a little more ethereal, we're going to go set one up. We're going to give us a few minutes. Let's just do this. And since we won't be able to tell the difference, we'll do the full 16 bars. And then we're going to go ahead and go to EQ. And we're going to pattern and hit play. It's very nice. All right. Well, now I'm like completely peaced out and like zen, and I'm like, but I need to be like, fight, you know? So now I'm like not in the right mood. Alright, let's just... Alright, so we were analyzing the song, we were learning the details, we're setting up, exploring things, showing off how awesome Fruity Loops is. Just experimenting with different little tricks. Do I want to use this though? Because it's just not the right mood. It's a cool thing, but it's just not the right mood. Alright, so we're going to keep this. Yes, but this can't be kept. So, what I'll do, pick a random one, click this one, right click, go to File, Save Mixer State As, click and hold, and drop. Boom. Alright, now this is going to keep the EQ, delete the convolver. Now I've got my bass back. I'm just going to leave that there as a spot filler. I don't know if I don't know if I'll ever use it again, but I guess there's some electro techno stuff. If I just do like bass and drum and something simple, I can probably bring the sub back. If not, the bass guitar does just fine. I mean, it's not like there's going to be a lack of bass. For the folks who like bass, they'll hear it. This needs to be reset. That doesn't. That's probably a calculated guess. So how this is the sends, this is the receives, and this is the series of wet dry panels. I'm gonna take this and put it somewhere I can find it. The color coding helps me keep layers down. Technically I should put, well no, that's in the spot. The Hydra and the bass need to be together because they rhyme, if that makes any sense. The Rogue is There's too much presets. I prefer to do it manually. That's nice. That's extra. But if you don't want to do all this crap, boom, preset, done, go play. I like the amp. Same guitar, different amp. Ping pong. Flanger. Maybe a phaser, one of the two. Maybe both. That might be fun. How did they do that? Stereo separation? Yeah, that's mono. You can see it on the equalizer. Stereo separation. Mono. So, there's no Lion song in this preset, so Holdsworthian. Because I need those low ranges. That high stuff is going to get filtered out anyway, so. You know what, though? Green Day is pretty cool. Yeah, let's do that. Boop! I like the Jesus of Suburbia story. I think that was a phenomenal album setup. I liked how the songs transitioned to each other. You could just listen to the whole damn thing. I was like, dang, I want to do that. That takes a lot of work. But the effort comes out. I mean, the songs aren't as simple as they need to be, but if you are simple, it means that you're focused on what really matters, and it really, I mean, you got what you need. Three instruments and 4 parts. I mean, it works. And a message. I'm also a fan of flowbots. Okay, so there's some extra stuff on here that I don't actually need, so I'm going to drop the delay. I'm going to let the EQ sit. I'm just going to let it sit. 2 EQs, what are they doing? Low gain, mid gain, high gain. Right? Output, cut. This is probably a low pass. This is probably a peaking band. This is probably a high pass. Or maybe that. I see. Okay, so we have 4 points of contact. Okay, so what about this then? No touch, 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 and limit. Okay. So they first EQ'd it, then they distorted it. And we can further edit this further, but I like the preset, so we're sticking with it. Then they did further modifications of the sound. Overdrive. Then they EQ'd it again. They quieted it a bit. They raised the mid frequency a bit. And I left the string E parts in. I'm going to be fighting this. Pre-delay. Okay, this is the cabinet. There's a lot of fun cabinets in here. If you want to quickly make the change without going through all those presets, just check this place out. There's some good ones in here. This is, I mean, I bought the plug-in. This is all what came. I think it was like $150 or something like that. Ballpark. Okay, another EQ. And this time where's... I think that's left alone. I don't know if I need that many EQs on here, but I'm going to leave it alone. I like the sound. Okay. So the plug-in is clean, and now those EQs controls can be done over there. This plays it once, plays it twice, plays it again with 0 milliseconds latency. So there's virtually no difference between the tracks. But if you add a little bit of latency, now suddenly there's 12 milliseconds of delay between the note and the single. Potentially up to 12 milliseconds of delay with various decimal points in between. So let's listen to it and see what it sounds like. That was on the Rogue. That was on the Rogue. What's going on? Okay. If you left click, it brings up that. If you right click, it brings up this. Okay, so this is going to be really subtle. But we're going to do it obtuse at first. Damn it. It sounds fatter and wider. So now I don't have to record the guitar tracks over and over and over again. I can just use it. Boom, done. Easy mode. Then you can adjust the strumming patterns and the hands and the other stuff, and I just don't mess with that. This is what matters. And there's 2 pages. Hammers, poles, all sorts of things. And then if you ever don't know how it works, you check the map, and you click on it, and it tells you where it goes. And there's ways to customize it if you need to. It's way more than you need. Way more than you need. Unless you need it. Okay, so. I'm in the wrong gear. I need to go into creative gear. I need to step out of machine mode, borrow animal mode, and wonder. Let's say we were just on Green Day. We set the Green Day Road guitar, so I should have a general idea of where I want to go with this. Okay, let's clean this stuff out and worry about it one at a time. I'm not going to delete my progress, but I do need a fresh pattern. What did I like about this? Not that. Although, I can cut that, I can put that in Pia Pro, and then I can Control A it, and embolden the background, since Pia Pro doesn't make any noise. And then I can right click twice and Control up arrow once, and I can Control A, C, Control down, V, up, V. The disadvantage is, over here, you don't see those notes. So, you can just scroll. So whether or not the song has Miku's vocals in it, so to get to Pia Pro, and I did buy this copy. I read the terms and conditions, and it said that you can only install it on one computer. I still have that computer's hard drive, but the motherboard fried. So then I had to save up and buy a fresher license. And at the cost of the fresher license, and being honest, I lost access to the Japanese voice banks. But I still have what I need. This version of Pia Pro Studio is outdated and no longer really being offered, so this is an antique. I don't think much of this will translate to help for the new Vocaloid producers, but I'm good with V4X. I'm perfectly fine with V4. Oops, I pressed a button. Oh wow, a hotkey. Where'd that come from? Print screen, was it? Yep, that's what it was. Alright, easy mode unlocked. Thank you, Jesus. Was it a mistake? Maybe, at least from my perspective. Was my hand guided to accidentally bump a key by coincidence, and then I took wisdom from it? Cool. Okay, PA Pro needs some setup. PA Pro's setup is dependent on the instrumental track, so there's really not much I can do here. Except for maybe like understand the basic presets that I was like. She needs that. Just a touch of that. A smidgen. I think that was this is an EQ sweep. And this edits the formats. This is a volumizer. Dynamics, I mean. And the brightness is a high-end EQ gain. Pitch bend. That's good for manual whatchamajigger vibrato or tremolo or something like that. As well as those weird little cracks like from what's his name, Phil Wickham. I mean, there's a way to do it if you really want to work at it. But once you work at it, you need to save it as a preset so you don't have to do it again over and over and over again. So maybe that's what I'll do here. I'll set up a preset so I don't have to do it again. And I know how to do that. Pitch bend sensitivity. Now that one's fun. You need this. This decides how much the little red line deviates in terms of octaves. Again, well, maybe notes actually. Let's see. Let's create a field. And let's create a note. And let's just leave it alone. Okay, this note is huge. All right. I want this on 16ths. I wish it would always be on 16ths. But maybe I should take the hint, right? Okay. So this is the vibrato. I've noticed it kind of starts about here, unless we're like doing opera. There's several different types, and there's several different variants of that type. Type 4 is pretty cool because it trails off the vibrato at the end, so I like that. And I don't like the massive vibrato, so I'm going to do slight type 4, which is going to sound like this. And it's more pronounced if so that is definitely how I should go. I need to make sure I have this is a quarter note. So this is an 8th note. And these are 16ths. No, 30 seconds, because this is 16. This is 30 seconds. Okay. Okay, so now what I liked about KZ Live Tune, and he was a very good introduction. What was it, Weekender Girl? Okay, so why does it start there? Why does it start there? Why doesn't it start? Oh, wait a minute. No, that was delay. That doesn't. It doesn't work like that. Okay, my scale is off. Let's see. How does the minor scale go? Let's see. This is our root. Let's see. It was whole. So we're going to do half step, whole. Then it's a minor scale, so we're going to go to the next. Then, so we've done our whole step, our half step, and now we're going to go back to the major with our whole. So we did one hole here, so we need another hole over there. And how does the piano look? Let's see. Whole, whole, half. Okay. So we've just done these halves back here. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this. Boom, easy mode. That sounds about right. Select it all and stick it back in the root. Boom, done. No mental math required. As long as you know the formula. You won't always have a calculator with you. Alright, so now we've got the scale. Now let's oh, and a little Metallica. Just a touch of Metallica. Okay. So clear that out. That's the second is awkward on the minor scale, which the second is really the seventh of the major scale, which is Locrian. So that note is going to be the diminished note. The rest of these are well spaced. Now let's just do some stuff, I guess. Guess I prioritized that one. shower.
La la la.
Okay, that's gonna go ahead and drop out since I know the scale, more or less. Okay, so this should be a chord. Listen to how, where's that line? Boop. There it is. You see how she starts below the note and kind of just gets there? And then, I mean, the human vocal cord's got to do something to get there. So that's a natural sound. Because you got to naturally just forget about the last bit. So what if we do something like this? Now we're going to need to increase the scale. Can't hear it, so we need to stay in the scale. So what if we drop it an octave just to see what happens? That's going to be pronounced.
La la la. La la la.
That's probably where the breathiness starts in. Okay, anyway, so there's that. And then there's what I noticed on pitch snap mode. Yeah, pitch snap mode. A lot of the producers just like, you know what? Miku can do it.
La la la.
And look at that, it's so flat. Now I wonder what happens if we add vibrato. The clock stopped. Okay, cool.
La la la.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, we're definitely keeping this style. Stop the clock. That is awesome. That's insane. Just like the amount of precision and control needed to do that and just get there. Because even then, there's still the transition. And even under all of that, there's still the vibrato. I was expecting something like, 8-bit or digital, like, but nope. So what if I do this? And crank that up to about a 12.
La la la.
Okay, unaffected. Unless I do it manually, but I don't want to. Okay, so we know how to do that. I don't really want to do a tedious chore right now. I'm not going to go program the spikes for the Screamo parts. I'll just put that off for later when I have the energy. Okay, that is a good starting point. Let's save a file. What? Okay, we're going to change this to okay. Then you can multi-track it by duplicating, and then you can get a really cool effect. Okay, maybe that's a bit much. You can hear the peaking, where like the speaker's just like, alright, we're done. And it gets kind of fuzzy. That's what distortion does. So we're going to... Why was that loud? Why was that loud? It shouldn't have been loud. Let's try that again. Oh, that is blended. That is good. Now what if we blend it further? Chorus. Okay, so now we want to stick this one on the right. And we want to stick, which one was this? Okay, we're going to leave that open. And we're going to name this. And then we're going to minimize display. So that one's going to remain in the middle. And we're going to stick this one on the left here. And we'll see what it does. Okay, there's a bit of breathiness at the end, which we can... low pass. EQ some of that out. Probably about that much. Come on. Much better. Less pronounced, but it's still there. If I sweep it a bit. Oops. What? Dang it. Okay. So some of the breathiness is lost and some of the brightness is lost, but that's cool because then when we get to the... Dang it, I did it again. This part. Let's see. Those are the presets, and the less I do on this, the better. Unfortunate thing about this is once I make that cut, I don't know how to glue that back together. So I make that cut knowing that I'm not going to be able to undo it. And I don't need that, and I don't need that. I'm going to do everything on this master template and then duplicate them, and when they're in the right track, they'll adopt the qualities. That note's very important. This note is very important. But if you play this note too much, then this note will become wrong. Okay, so now I'm just, whoops. have a second screen, but it's hard to broadcast with it.
La la la. La la la. La 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 la.
This should be a whole step. This should be a whole step. Because it is right here. So go back to B, and then A, and then sharps. Technically flats, but so what's this sound like?
La 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 la.
It sounds digital.
La 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 la.
Let's cut off the delay. We can do that right there.
La 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 la.
Now we're in the studio.
La 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 la.
Now let's add some funny syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
La. One, two, three, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, so she's rushed. I think the 2 had to have shortcuts. 5 had to have shortcuts, because 5 is just a bit more than a single syllable, which is really nice.
7.
And 7 is kind of funny. 7 turned out fine. Alright. Now what? Let's try that pitch bend. Boop. Come on. There you go.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7.
So I think what I might do is during the verses switch to analog. Boop. And then during the chorus switch to digital. Which means I'm going to have to automate it. Which will help me be able to tell the song structure inside PR Pro. So that'll help. It'll be effort that has its own rewards. Okay. So I think I've about plotted this thing out. Let's see if I can write it down. I can remember. What do I know? It's in C sharp minor. I'm going for hopeful, inspiring, epic maybe, and then suspenseful. Not traumatic, but Okay, we have been working on this for 2 hours, 33 minutes, and I am officially burnt out. So, that's it. I wonder if we can close with a song. Oh, I know a song. Oh, I know a song. Where did I put it? Wave complete. That should be where it's at. And it might be in 12. Ah, here it is. It's such a mean. Oh, by the way, turn down your volume. It's gonna get loud. Did I just load that in PA Pro Studio? That's cool. Was that supposed to happen? No. No, I don't want to save. The external hard drive is communicating. Boom. Close, 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 close. Save. Drop. Okay, no I didn't. So why did that happen? Why is this happening? Oh, that's because it's a fucking stupid. You know what? We'll just do a behind the peaks scene. It's still loading. I'm just gonna smoke a cigarette then and just chill out. We don't need that open right now. And I thought this was the wave complete though, so why is this not a wave file? Oh, really? Well, it's probably because I moved it. Alright, that's going to create an issue. How do I fix it? Test it. Why? Oh, right. Boop. Test it. Contact, 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 sub. quite proud of that one. It's gonna be hard to top. Alright, let's see what happens if we do it like this. This is the reference track. These are the audio spikes. These are the Miko vocals. Get ready for some screamo. Thus, I cannot release this song royalty free. Or I have to release this song royalty free. Pretty good though. I worked on this since 2007. I started music in May. And I started working on other projects. So, let's see if we can get back into some System of a Down type stuff for this next song. This fight song to tell us that we didn't come this far, only to come this far. A certain Haley Williams song comes to mind. Where do we go from here?